Hey guys, what's up? So in this video we're going to be looking at pagination and how we can use it to turn this long list of our posts into a post list that has a defined number of pages. Now we're going to do this with pagination, which is simply the concept of taking a query set and then splitting it into a number of pages. Now we're going to be using the Paginator class that comes from Django that allows us to get an object list or a query set in this case and then split it into a number of pages. It also provides for us a way to define the number of items that specific page is going to have. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to take you to the views.py file within our posts app, and right here what you have is our post object, which is actually a query set returning all the posts just like we see here in our home template. Now I'm going to simply come back right here and I'm going to stop our server. Now I'm going to be querying for all our posts as we have them on our database. So I'll simply stop our server with Control and C and then run our shell. So I'm going to create some space right here and then I'll call -3 manning.py and then shell. And right after doing this, I'm simply going to go ahead and import our post model. So the way I'm going to do that is by saying from posts.models, I'm simply going to come and say we're going to import our post class. And right after importing our post class, I'm simply going to go ahead and what I'll do is to also import our post or our paginator class in this case. So I'll do that from Django.core. In this case, we are also going to go ahead and import our paginator. So I'll just simply call our paginator and then I'll go ahead and import our paginator class. Now after importing our paginator class, I'm going to go ahead and create an object of the paginator class. But before I create the object, I'm simply going to go ahead and query for all our posts from our database. So I'm going to create a post variable, and this post variable is going to be post.objects.all, which is going to return a query set of all objects. So when I call posts, we're going to have all posts as they are in our database. Now simply going to clear this with Ctrl and L, and then what I have to do next is to be able to call our paginator. So I'm just simply going to call and create a paginator object, and this is going to be an instance of our paginator class. Now the first thing we're going to provide here is going to be our object list. Now in this case it's going to be our post query set, and then we shall provide 3 as the number of items we want for each page. Now since this is unordered or it's a query set that's not ordered, we're going to get this warning, but do not mind it for now. Now right after having that, what we can do is to actually specify pages. So I'm going to just come and specify pages is by creating a variable. So let's say this is our page 1. This page 1 is going to be our paginator, so I'm simply going to call our first page, and then it's actually going to be paginator.page, sorry for that, then we shall have our first page. So if I call page 1.objects list, in this case it's going to return the first page and all the objects of that first page. Now I'll do the same thing for page 2, so I'm just simply going to say page 2 is going to be our paginator, sorry for that, it's actually going to be paginator, and then I'll call .page, and right after calling .page I'll simply give our page number, which is going to be page 2. So when I say page 2 dot, in this case when I call our objects list, in this case it's actually going to call and basically return a list of all posts for that specific page. Now you can also go ahead and check the next number or the previous page number as well as the next page number. Now the way we're going to do that is to call page2.next. In this case you can say next page, sorry for this, so it's going to be next page number, and this is actually going to return the next page number as 3. Now we can do the same thing for page 1. So in this case if we say page 1 dot previous page number, so in this case when I say previous page number, since it doesn't have previous pages, it's actually going to return an error showing us that this page has no previous page. Now the way we're going to do this is by actually carrying this out in our template so that we can be able to return a list of posts having only 3 items, so that we can basically navigate through our posts via pages. Now I'm going to navigate back to our VS Code right here, and the first thing I'm going to do is to create a Paginator object. So I'm going to begin by importing our Paginator class. So I'll say from Django.core, and this case is going to be from the Paginator. We are going to go ahead and import our Paginator. And right after importing our Paginator, I'm simply going to come in here, and all I have to do is to create a Paginator object. So I'm simply going to come right here and say we're going to have our Paginator being equal to our Paginator, and in this case we shall pass in our posts. Now we shall also pass in a number of items per page as 3. Now once we have that, we shall need a page object for every page we shall be able to access. So the way we're going to do that is by getting a page number from our request object. So I'm going to create links in our template that are going to allow us to navigate to the next page as well as our previous page. Now simply come right here and say that we're going to have our page being equal to our Paginator dot, in this case I'll say get page, and in this case we shall pass in a number that's going to return a valid page. So we shall get this page number from our request object. So I'm simply going to create a page number, and this page number is actually going to be request dot get, and in this case we shall get it from our query dict as our page variable or our page key. Now right after getting our page key, I'll simply pass that page number into our page. So I'll simply come right here and actually call this our page object so that you can be able to substitute our posts into our page object. Now I want you guys to observe what will happen. So when I go ahead and save, I'll restart our server. So I'll press Ctrl Z to get out of the shell, and then restart our server with Python manage.py run server. So when we run our server again, when I head over to our Chrome right here and refresh, right now we see that only 3 posts are returned, which means we are on our first page. Now what we're going to do is to create links that are going to help us to navigate to different parts of our pages, or the different pages containing our different posts. And in this case, we shall be able to basically navigate through our posts via pages. So how I'm going to do that is to go to the template that's rendering all these posts. So that is our index.html page within our templates. So I'm simply going to come right here and I'm going to simply create a div, and it's actually going to be a div with a class of, so I'm just simply call this Pagination. It's actually called it Pagation. Simply rename it to Pagination. And once I create this class, I'm simply going to add links. So the first thing I'm going to add is one that's going to take us to the previous page in case a page has a previous page. Now the way I'm going to do that is by coming and writing an if statement. Now with Django, I'm simply going to press if and then tab. And what I'll have is to check if our posts object, which is a Paginator object in this case, if it has next, we are simply going to put a next link that's going to take us to the next page. Now in this case, I'll come and provide our anchor tag. And once I provide this anchor tag, I'm simply going to come right here and then I'll say it's going to be our next link. So when I come right here, all I have to do is to provide the link or the URL for that specific view function for our home page. Now simply do this with URL, and when I provide this, so our URL for this specific URL pattern is actually going to be the post home, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll go to urls.py within our post app, and that's actually our posts home. So when I come back to our index.html right here, I'll simply provide the URL as posts home. So I'll provide this as posts home. Now since we have a query attribute or a query set attribute that we shall be accessing from this URL, I'll come and provide a question mark right here, and then I'll provide our page, and in this case our page is actually going to be the next page. So the way we shall access our next page is by coming and saying posts, and in this case we shall say dot next. Sorry for this. So this will actually be our post dot next page, so we shall have post.nextPage number. And once I have this, when I go ahead and save and refresh, what we shall have here is going to be our next link, because this is actually going to have a next page. So when I click this, we now have posts that are on a different page. Now this is working. So when I go ahead and also press next, we have the post that is on our last page. Now what we want also is to basically display that page we are currently on. Now I'm going to come right here, and all I have to do is to display our page number. So I'll just simply come right in here, and all I have to do is to create a simple paragraph. Now this simple paragraph is going to have the page we are currently on, as well as the number of pages our Paginator has. So in this case, what I'll have to do is to say posts. In this case, we shall say .number. So when I go ahead and save and go back right here, when I refresh, we have our number 3. So when you have that, I can basically say that this is page and then 3. So when I refresh, we have page 3, and all I have to do is to say that it's going to be page 3 of. Then I'll have to access the number of posts that we have for this specific Paginator. So I'll just come right here, actually number of pages. So this will be posts, and then we shall access the Paginator, and in this case we shall have the number of pages, so we shall access that with num pages. So when I go ahead and refresh, when I come here and refresh, we shall see that this is actually our last page, which is page 3 out of 3. So I can as well do the same thing for our previous page. So when you have a previous page, what you want to do is to go back to our previous page. So I'll just come right in here, and all I have to do is to I'll cut this and put it just here, and then also do the same thing and put this right here. So I'll come right here, and all I have to do is if. So we're going to do the same thing if post dot has. In this case, we're going to check if our page has a previous page. Now if we have that, then we're going to have a link that's going to redirect us to a previous page. So I'll simply come and provide our URL here, and this URL is going to have our posts. In this case, it's going to be our post home. And once we have our post home, I'm simply going to come and provide our page, and this page is going to be equal to. So we shall come right in here, and I'll say we're going to have post dot. In this case, we shall have our previous page number. So in this case, I'll just come and say post dot previous page number. And once I have that, then I'll provide the value of this anchor tag or the text in here as previous. When I refresh and come back this side, so right now we have previous. So when you go back to previous, it's actually taking us to our previous page. And when you go back to previous, we now see that we're on page 1 out of 3. So when you go to next, we have page 2 over 3 or 2 out of 3. And when you go to page 3 out of 3, have previous, and then page 3 out of 3. So what I'm going to do is to actually style this up with CSS. So I'll go to our main.css and then provide our class of pagination. So this class is going to be having a display of flex. So I'm simply going to come right here and say display is going to be flex, and then right in here I'll say that our justify content is going to be our space. Actually, it's going to be justify content. So just going to come and say justify content, and then maybe I'll say it's going to be space between. Then I'll also give this a width of, let's say it's actually going to be a width of 30%. Now go ahead and refresh. Sorry for that. So basically this refresh right here. I had my Django docs open right here, but when I refresh, let me actually go back to our VS Code right here. So when I refresh, what you have is basically this kind of style. So when you go to our previous page, we actually have a next page right here. When you go to our next, so if we're on our first page, you have a next link. When you go to our second page, you see that our pagination is working. And when you go to our last page, you now see that we are at our last page. In this video, you've been able to look at pagination and how it can help us to basically navigate through a long list of objects. And this is helpful as it's going to allow us to navigate through our posts as it's going to give us pages. If you've learned from this video, please leave a like. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.